the kit is being ready. And I think we will be very interested to talk to some of the newer NOGs, LA NOG, KS NOG, to participate. And of course, with the more mature NOG with a lot of money, we are going to share the kit and the training, and we can help you buy the kit. It's not expensive. It costs less than $1,000, even with inflation and all of that. And I also need to thank the NSRC people. This is a funny thing is, when you try doing these community projects, you are always looking at how can I spend less money. So yeah, Amazon, I got Amazon to sponsor, that was fine. And then I realized that if I send these things to Oregon, then I don't have to pay sales tax. Like, every state in the US has different sales tax. I live in Washington state, I have to pay 8%, right? But if I send it to Oregon, which is like, what, 2 hours drive for me, and I don't have to pay sales tax, that is 10%, and that is, one more kit. If I'm buying 10 kits, I think we had funding for 8 kits, but by using the NSRC, I got one more kit. And actually the NSRC team also goes around training, and so they are the ones that carried the kit to the last SANOG in Bhutan to distribution. So it's pretty good.
How's the feedback so far?
Well, I mean, I think the initial feedback was we need a slightly better training material. Okay. Because we had to send someone that I trained initially, and to both Bhutan and the first one in Bangladesh, and then in India. We sent to both IN-NOG and BD-NOG, and we came back, and I think we need to develop, it's like, I think for people who have done video, it's very intuitive, but the more advanced features, like, okay, I want to put a logo, but I want to put the name of the speaker, how do we introduce a slate, and some of that terminology is not familiar, and so the training, we hope to get that training materials all done in the next 2 months or so that it is more, and then
it can be very stable income.
Yeah, of course. And you basically it creates a RTMP feed. So what we did in the training is we just like, YouTube has a wonderful service. And so rather than saying, oh, we'll store it in a hard drive, archive it, we'll just send it to YouTube. But you can also send it to any RTMP server or any CDN that takes RTMP feed. But the training material is based on YouTube. You can also send it to Twitch or Vimeo or one of those things, but if YouTube is probably the most convenient one, and experiment-wise as well, like with IN-NOG, that 2,000 people who watched, I think it was primarily because YouTube was so easy to just click a button, get a feed. So yeah. Yeah, it works with OBS. You can get your own, what is the most popular OBS these days, OBS Studio or one of those. But yeah, you can get all of those. I mean, what the brain of this thing is the ATEM, like one of those things over there, but one version below. So exactly what they're using. So it'll get 4 SDMI inputs, right? So you don't need a PC or OBS or anything. Because I think that was the thing I realized is every time I say, why are you not doing streaming? People think they need a computer, they need an encoder, they need all this kit. Trying to put that, like 3 computers together, all of that, and interfaces to get HDMI into a PC is not trivial, right? So I was like, that is not, like just buy a $300 box that does a very good, decent job, and 4 inputs, you get 1 laptop in, you can do picture-in-picture, you can do slates, right? For most NOGs, that is more than enough. Right? So, and what we also did was, I've been to a lot of NOGs. And in most of the South Asian NOGs, there is always a photographer and a videographer, right? And so these videographers, when you rent them, they come with a very sophisticated camera and they provide a recording. And getting HDMI out of that straight into the box is a lot convenient. So, you know, we created a camera in the kit, but we also recommended that, hey, that videographer you are hiring, make sure he gives you HDMI, right? And so that was some of the tricks we have to learn. Like, you know, I had to go and figure out, like the first time we tried this at NP-NOG, we realized we needed a mini HDMI converter because the camera they found was one of those new ones. So we're like scramble around all over Pokhara to find a thing. So I added that to the kit. And so now in the kit, we have a whole bunch of small converters, mini HDMI, micro HDMI to regular HDMI, you know, so, but yeah, it's you know, you could have a OBS, you could have a more complex, but at the bottom of the things is basically ATEM Pro that costs like $300.
Yep.
Yeah, I just it's funny. Well, I
Yeah,
can
you
show
see,
from
I
there.
think we're like.
Because within our region, we actually.
So the background to this thing was, you know, like these guys were telling me, you want to start another NOG or what? I was like, no. What the real reason was, I was trying to find a talk by Dave Meyer. He did that in 2005 in Dhaka, in Bangladesh, as a keynote. And I was like, I have the slide, but I wanted to kind of, you know, Dave had a very interesting way of presenting his very famous talk on complexity. And I could not find the damn video anywhere. And I was like, oh, we just upload it to YouTube, right? And those things become permanent history of the NOGs. Like, and same thing, like, you know, I mean, if for a lot of these NOGs, maybe the presentations from operational stuff are not as durable, but some of the keynote speakers, some of the long-term things, we also want that recorded and stored so that, you know, a few years down the line, you want to go and see. Because there was another talk again, this was another keynote speaker in Dhaka, Tariq Bhai from Pakistan. He had come and talked about how they had, you know, wired up neighborhoods in Karachi with Ethernet just hanging, and he had photos, and I was trying to find those photos that, you know, it's not uncommon, and I could not find his talk, right? And I think he did not use slides. He just had 1 or 2 slides, but he did most of the thing talking. His keynote was mostly talk. And then I was like, oh, I know what he talked about, but we don't have a record of it. So that dumping it on YouTube, you know, Google may shut down YouTube one day like they do with their products, but at least for now. Yeah.
And
So
also after COVID, it's very common, right?
Yeah.
To have them streaming.
We've actually.
Microphone? For streaming?
I will stop talking after this, I promise. We've actually just started, and it's something we're rolling out this year, and I don't know if this is something APNIC could do, but on our Ripe NCC YouTube channel, we now allow NOGs to link there. So any presentation that is done at a NOG, once they've linked, technically can be found through the NCC as the coordination center. So that could be an idea that translates if you can somehow share other NOG channels.
actually, for the Live NOG project, we realized we needed a paid account with YouTube to have certain features. So SANOG, we actually registered one for SANOG, and we used that for NP-NOG. And I think eNOG already had a channel, so it was easy. But those are some of the things we need to add in the training, saying, hey, you can use the SANOG account and you get some of these extra. Like, I think if you had to do 2 tracks simultaneously, then you need a paid account to put it on the same channel. right? So we learned all of those things as we went by, and and so I think with this strengthening NOG support thing that we got from the foundation recently, I think we're gonna assign some budget to that so that we can continue. It's not a huge cost, but SANOG will need to get an account anyway, and the plan is for SANOG to basically support all the NOGs to be able to stream. So
Sorry, is that the channel collaboration feature?
yes. Yeah.
Okay, I might pass that on to my team.
Okay, thank you much. So yeah, if you have any questions about live NOG, come talk to me or talk to Rupesh over there. This is our community project.
So my concern is, thank you. My concern is if it is can be live, we can make the live collaborations. So while in one session, each NOG, for example, if it is LK NOG in the December, so we give the 20 minutes or 30 minutes for another NOG to give you the live collaborations. It must be make this relationship between the each NOG, because every day we are not staying in the same NOGs. So however people are changing. So that means it will be make the relationship continuous, like a apricot, how much this big. So it will be great idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, good. Yeah. Thank you very much. Any other question? I have a question. So usually we have Wi-Fi during the conference, and this time I, together with Paul and Philip, to prepare this conference network. But it's very challenging every time. So do you have own conference Wi-Fi during the conference? If yes, raise your hand. Yeah, right? Do you continue? Or because now the hotel have own Wi-Fi, right? Venue might have better Wi-Fi, deployed enough APs there. Do we really need it, or people can rely on your mobile phone, mobile data, possibly? But why do we need to provide Wi-Fi for the technical conference? Is it expected? How do you think?
Rupesh here. So some of the times what we also do is we just ask whoever is the provider in the hotel, the ISP, we also ask them to upgrade the bandwidth, and then we use the same hotel's APs as well. So probably that solves the hotel's bandwidth congestion problem. So that's one way we do that. We also do a separate network for the event if the area is a little bit bigger or something like that. So, but so far we don't have any problem in NPNOG nor in SANOG. I'm not sure why we are having this. I think when we had Apricot, I remember Philip, Maz, you guys were there in Yakaniti fixing the wireless interface and all those things. But I'm not sure why it happened here a little bit and complicated.
So to be fair, I think one of the challenges I think most of you face on the first day of the conference is the Wi-Fi is totally not working, right? I believe that some of you that are using your hotspot, it will not work as well. It was because that there are too many Wi-Fi signals in this area. For example, during the first day, a lot of people turn on a hotspot, right? Even like some people turn on a hotspot, you wouldn't able to use it. This is my first time that I'm facing that problem. So to answer Ma's question, so what we did in MyNOG was we totally dropped the idea of internet sponsorship, because that is a big hassle, because you need to talk to sponsors, they need to come to install the equipment, they need to talk to a hotel, get the access, lay the cables and all that. So one of the things that Rupesh mentioned, which is the better idea, was if you're able to convince the hotel to lend you the Wi-Fi, that'll be easier, because you only see the hotel signals in the buildings. You don't see other signals. So right now, if you do a scan of the signal in the ballroom, you will see a lot of Wi-Fi signals, a lot of interference. I think that's one of the reasons that no matter how much we go to tune it, and you know that even the hotel is using Ruckus Wi-Fi, whenever you tune the channels that you think there's no one using, they also do the same thing as well, because that they have these auto learnings and auto switchings kind of things. So I think, to be fair, let's say that we in future we want to do like free internet for the participants and all that. I think one of the options that we can talk to the hotel, see whether or not they are willing to like bump up the bandwidth. We can pay temporaries and all that. If we continue to install the Wi-Fi APs and all that, we will have issues as well, because I also saw people bringing this travel SIM, the hotspot walking around. That will cause an issue as well. So, but to be fair to the participant, if we decide to tell them that there's no Wi-Fi offer to the location, like we did for NOG, we need to let them know earlier, so they know like what Wi-Fi, what data plan they can buy and all that. And nowadays, the data roaming is pretty cheap and also easily accessible, because there are a lot of eSIM providers. Just buy an eSIM for the 7 days, you get a really good connectivity as well.
Yeah, and it's an important question that Maz is asking. You know, we've built Wi-Fi at every apricot for many, many years. I mean, the issue here with this hotel is the hotel Wi-Fi is not the best. It's not very well planned. They don't have enough addresses in the DHCP pool, as you discovered yesterday and this morning, when our Wi-Fi fell over, so you all jumped onto the Marriott one, and suddenly you found there were no more addresses. So, you know, it's not just, oh, use the hotel Wi-Fi. You know, as Rupesh said, you have to, you know, look at the bandwidth issues, make sure the DHCP is bigger, make sure they're not using some stupid little CPU-based firewall to gateway 300 people when 1,000 turn up. So it's a lot of things. But it's important for us, for Apricot, for planning for next year and for 2028 and going forwards, because it's a huge amount of work that Maz and Paul, never mind the team, the TP-Link team, AppG technical team, have been putting in that you haven't seen, you know, for the last few days, just to try and make stuff work. You know, Maz is going to report more tomorrow, but it's really a big question. Do we want to do this? I mean, yes, we're showcasing V6 mostly. There's no dual stack network here. It's V6 mostly. And it just works, and that's the point that we want to try and do. But if we just say, right, we use the venue, we can't showcase, you know, future things either. So it's, well, what do you do? And if we end up in an old hotel, what do we do there? Because they have, you know, so the venues I'm looking at for next year both have really good Wi-Fi, because they're brand new, or not quite, but you know, they're relatively new hotels. So we could be okay. So I don't know, I think it's a discussion point. I think small NOGs probably could still rely on a hotel. What do we do? I mean, the Sheraton said we'll turn off the Wi-Fi. They didn't. And that's just a complete lose.
I think in the 100 participants will be okay to handle like several APs, right? But if we have more, like 500 and 1,000 attendees in the same meeting room, then we need to think about seriously. We deploy many APs as we can. Convention center. So we turn off the total Wi-Fi, existing one, then deploy our own AP. But still, the plenary session is kind of tough, challenging.
Do you make a condition of the contract with the hotel that they have to turn the Wi-Fi on?
Yeah, we are using the convention center.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, it's just a future thinking thing, you know.
Yep.
Do we make that in the contract? I mean, the hotel here has a monopoly provider. They agreed to let somebody else in to give us redundancy. You know, we have to do that because we have live streaming, there's Zoom running with remote participants for the APNIC sessions. And that can't just stop. I mean, we've got loads of backup, but the other thing when we did the site survey here is the mobile network is rubbish, because there's so many people here. It's not that the local providers haven't provided, there's just so many. It's completely overloaded. What was at one point this morning, I had no mobile, I had no hotel network, and I had no apricot network. It's just absolutely saturated. So, you know, it's trying to live around a lot of these things. Yeah. It's why we don't put the streaming on the Wi-Fi.
What I do know from the nano community meetings from a few years ago was they were actually requiring information about like what do you call those things? Like what T-Mobile, Verizon, like most of the big hotels, convention center, they actually have a microcell, nanocell within the facility, and you know, at least with the U.S. carriers, it all runs on the internet, and so they were discussing whether Nanox would bring their own. I think at the end of the day, most hotels had them, and that might be something we ask, as hey, do you have microcells within the facility or not? Because if you're going to have 1,500 people, then it won't work, and that has a worse cascading effect, because then people will start network hopping and all sorts of nonsense.
Maybe this is one of the many scaling issues, like a venue, catering, social, and Wi-Fi. Yeah,
Well, we,
yeah,
d-
Lift
we-
as well.
we do what Janok does, just no socials, no nothing.
Yeah, we have a social, but
No
up to
food.
1,000. Okay, I think we need to conclude this session because it's 7 p.m. Thanks for the participant, and let's keep this community running, and see you next time. Thank you very much.
There's still 30 minutes of social outside, so run quickly to get your beer.
Maybe you should have maybe a